What's up, nerds? Welcome to. Wow, that was bad. Okay, restart. Take two. What's up, nerds? Welcome to nintendopowblock's expansion pack, our weekly YouTube show where we talk about random stuff about video games, food, whatever we want to talk about. Usually it's video games, but sometimes, like on Expansion Pass, it's about Ninja Turtles or, our dream fantasy Metroid game like last week. I'm Corey, and joining me, as always, is Ed. And
Hey,
today we're going to talk about the evolution of Zelda and why it was important and how it's evolved over the years. So, Ed, Zelda's one of those franchises that likes to switch it up sometimes.
Yes.
It really is. Like, you saw the jump from Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, from the NES Zeldas to Link to the Past, and then transforming the Link to the Past model into 3D with Ocarina of Time, and now with Breath of the Wild. It's crazy. And even like the ones that didn't pan out so well, like the DS ones or Four Swords, or not that they weren't great, good games, but I mean, like, some people don't like them, some people do. And then you get like cult classics like Minish Cap, that is kind of stuck on the Game Boy Advance. So, Ed, how do you feel about the evolution of Zelda? Is it as good as that creamy cake that you're eating?
Yes. I think the evolution of Zelda is very important to, I think, the gaming industry in total. And reason why I say that is that there's been something about Zelda that has touched so many genres of games. And if it's successful in Zelda, like it works, it'll become successful in that genre if done very well or even innovated on that. A lot of people, whatever the debate you see, Zelda being an RPG or not an RPG, you kind of got to admit that the lore of Zelda and its gameplay always hooks a person. There's always something in Zelda that you're learning, that you're the experiences becomes new. You start thinking like, I got this weapon, so what is going to do for me now? What area is it going to just open up in? And things of that nature. And I always thought it was very important when it jumped to 3D. And after playing Ocarina of Time, I found like a new world in Zelda and in 3D gaming in general. Because for me, when it came to 3D gaming, it was always a platformer or something like Tomb Raider in a sense. Like it was kind of an action thing. Sorry, everybody. I know my camera went out. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. That's kind of been like what I experienced. But when I played Ocarina of Time and the Z targeting, the automatic jumping, um, you know, checking my surroundings, these big open rooms, it showed me the future of kind of video games. Mario was kind of the beta. It was like the foundation, and then Zelda just expanded on that and just opening up. Where I see a little bit of Grand Theft Auto 3 kind of doing more with with a kind of with open world, but that one became more mission based than what Zelda 64 was, Ocarina of Time. Going from there to the GameCube games to Wind Waker, the art style started becoming important. Just seeing how Nintendo was able to look at someone else's art style, incorporate it as their own, and just make it breathtaking. Changing your mind and stuff. And now we got Breath of the Wild, and it's a new experience every time people play it. because and it's one of those games that you just don't want to ruin. But when you go back or you solve one of the shrines and you solve it differently, you talk to other people and people still finding hidden things in that game. It's a new experience that in this gameplay that something that's so small could just evolve to something so big if you put the work in. You don't
Hmm.
really you didn't get that in past Zelda games. You just like you got a new weapon and it opened up an area. Not with Breath of the Wild. So I think in this industry, Zelda has been a big influence in this gameplay and pretty much kind of in its simple mechanics that hasn't been done in other video games.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at how the original Zelda influenced games like Skyrim, and then you look at Zelda 2 when it moved away from what Zelda 1 did. It it
Hmm.
it made the map kind of, you go in and you enter certain areas of the map, and then you get this 2D side scrolling element, or you go down into some dungeons, and then it adds an experience system, and then, you know, Shadow Link, shadows don't attack you. They just don't attack you, and then you get into Breath of the Wild and how it kind of reinvented what the original Zelda did so well in terms of everything is placed for a reason. Like everything in the world is there for a reason. And you go explore it and you might find something. Like that's huge. That's so what Zelda is and how it has influenced everything.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's similar to Nintendo. I mean, you could say that for Nintendo in general, that all their games have something that has influenced something somewhere in the video game industry. But as much as people wanted to chase after Mario, I think a lot of people took what Zelda did and really added it into their games. Like look at the N64 Z targeting. The Z targeting thing was everywhere for the next 15 years.
Yeah, and it's still being used today.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you look at at A Link to the Past and really adding depth to the land, where like, yeah, Zelda 1 had dungeons, but it was pretty much just going from room to room and finding solving puzzles to move on to the next room, or finding keys that open a door on the other side of the dungeon. Whereas you look at A Link to the Past and it added depth. You added floors to the dungeon, and maybe something you did on the first floor changed something on the third floor, or something you did on the second floor changed the way something moved around in the basement. Like it added depth to the already complex dungeons that Zelda was doing, and then Ocarina of Time did such an amazing thing in taking that concept and turning it into 3D for the first time.
Hmm.
Like, you know, we look at it now and it's like it's everywhere, but at the time, seeing such intricate level design for something that had never been done before is such an amazing feat.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you look at something like Majora's Mask and adding the time element to it, and everyone on a schedule, and you're looking to see like what tasks can I perform at this time of day versus this time of day, or on this day what changes on the second day. Like all this on a system that nobody had really ever done 3D before.
Right. And you know, moving Link with that analog control after moving Mario with the control, it really showcased how movement of a character and its camera was.
Hmm.
You know, now that we got double analog sticks, you kind of got to think about like, yo, we were messing around with the stuff with buttons and moving our character with the analog stick.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, and you know, some people say like, you know, everything after Ocarina of Time, except for maybe Majora's Mask. I mean, even Majora's Mask, I think even more so, honestly, in some cases, like still copy the Ocarina of Time format, but like
but
it when you make something that influential, like it's hard to innovate on something that's so innovative in itself, you know?
Right. I mean, that argument can still be said about the Grand Theft Auto games. After 3 was made, 4, 5, San Andreas, they still follow that blueprint that came from Grand Theft
And
Auto
a
3.
lot of open world games outside of Rockstar followed it too, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of games, like, you look at Grand Theft Auto 5 and it's still kind of like, as much as there is to do in that game and as much time and effort went into making that game, like, it still follows the Grand Theft Auto 3 legacy, where, like,
There's more, you follow missions, and even though you got this big world, you can't really go into stores. I mean, you can't really go into a lot of places and do anything. You don't do, if you go anywhere, you'll go into a store and buy clothes or some gun and stuff, or you might happen to fall upon a mission. But yeah, it just follows that same blueprint, that
yeah,
same formula that made that game popular.
yeah, and it's why I think, like, Fallout 4 didn't get as much praise as Fallout 3 did, is because, like, yeah, Fallout 3 and Skyrim and stuff, like, for something that was running on 360 and PS3 tech, like, those games were just some of the most demanding games on those systems, you know? They,
Right.
like, yeah, there were glitches and stuff, but they had to make sacrifices because of the systems they were on. And you look at Fallout 4 running on more powerful systems, coming out after games like The Witcher 3 and Metal Gear 5, like, that had innovated so much on the open world formula, that Skyrim kind of propelled into the spotlight in Fallout 3, that when you get more Fallout 3, basically, is Fallout 4 is in a new location, like, it's not as impressive as it was when they first did it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with making games in a vacuum too. Like, you don't really know what everybody else is doing until it's out. You know, I mean, developers talk here and there, sharing ideas and whatever, but they're not, like, showing each other their games. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's why Zelda itself just stands out in this industry. It's just that there's a familiar feeling to it, but the more you play it, the more that familiarity just changes. That you just start experiencing something new and just be like, well, this doesn't play the same way that this other game plays in the series. You know, with Breath of the Wild reaching its 1 year anniversary, people are still doing things that you cannot believe in that game. You know, Breath of the Wild, yes, it still has exploration, but more people have been looking at its physics systems that they placed in this game and just been doing crazy stuff with the physics. You know, how does math, a study that people really don't like, you know, people are enjoying it in Breath of the Wild. Math and science, I should say. You know, just experimenting.
It's experimenting with the systems that are in place.
Yeah, seeing what you can and cannot do, what you can break and what you can't break.
Yeah, I've been really itching to get back to Breath of the Wild, even though I spent like 200 hours in that game. Like, I've been really itching to go back and, like, okay, well, I have all these armor pieces that I never upgraded any of it. Should I upgrade my favorite ones, or, you know, try to work on hunting down monster parts, or, you know, collecting food, or you know, just the monster parts that I need to upgrade these, or should I chase down shooting stars, that kind of stuff. You know, so I'm thinking about it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I got so much else to play. But Breath of the Wild was so good, and it was so. I think the simplicity in its design in Breath of the Wild, mixed with the density of the world and just everything placed with a purpose, and how, like, yeah, it didn't really have much of a story, but the story that was there has been one of the most intriguing Zelda stories that we've seen in a while. Like, I mean, I think the only story that kind of compares to it, honestly, is Skyward Sword. Because, like, I didn't finish Skyward Sword, but the beginning of that game was so good. And, like, just the playfulness of the characters and just, like, it's just the innocence of them being children, pretty much. Is like, it's so endearing and so just, you want to know what happens to them, you know, and Breath of the Wild kind of does that, but in the opposite way, where like they're adults and Link is a knight and Zelda is trying to find her place in the world, and like you want to see what happens because you know what happens, and then you want to fix it, you know, and finding all the memories and watching them in order, and finding the expansion packs memories and watching them all in order, and it's so just powerful, especially the moment when Zelda pretty much carries Link back to the Shrine of Resurrection and then puts the Master Sword into the stone herself. Like, what a powerful moment that is. And like, you don't see that a lot, you know, like there are games with powerful female characters, don't get me wrong, but just like the impact that she had on that entire game was just like, I just want to turn that game on and watch all the cutscenes again.
Yeah, I still need to finish it. I got my Switch, I got this game, and I played like the intro.
I would say I'm disappointed in you, but I know you started it on Wii U and then you got it for Switch, so I'll give you a pass. But you only have until Saturday.
Wait, what?
What?
That means I got to play the whole. I got to play the whole game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even though we're on like a different time zone, so.
But Zelda's just been really influential, not just in games, like just in my life in general. You know, it's just one of those games. Like, pardon the pun, but it's the game that stands the test of time, no matter which version you're playing, no matter what game is your favorite, no matter, like, you know, some people Link's Awakening is their favorite, some people Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time. Twilight Princess was my favorite Zelda game for a long time, you know.
Skyward Sword was mine, and then Breath of the Wild came and just knocked it down a peg.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of people don't like Twilight Princess. I love Twilight Princess. It was, I mean, I like it because it was there for me in rough times, and it's there for me now. And like, Twilight Princess is always around in a big life moment, and like, you know, it was just one of those games that has always been there when I needed it, I guess, and that makes all the difference, you know. It's just one of those influential series that's going to be with us forever.
Yeah,
and I love it. So, but anyways, anything else you want to add to this, Ed?
Yeah. Go play a Zelda game.
Yeah.
Whether it's your first time, whether you just feel like remembering a part of that game, go and play one. It's just kind of enjoy for what it is and what it does for this industry and what it means. Because I think if the Zelda franchise ever stopped or was taken away, I don't think there's anything that could take its spot.
No, I mean, there's definitely nothing that could take the place of a Zelda game. Like, and people want Zelda like every 2 or 3 years, and it doesn't happen that often. You know, we missed a whole generation of Zelda for Wii U. So like,
okay,
I mean, Breath of the Wild technically came out on Wii U, but like, like we got to generate our first generation of consoles without a exclusive Zelda game, and it's weird because there's been at least one on every console, if not two. And don't get me wrong, Wind Waker HD was fantastic, and Twilight Princess HD fixed a lot of issues that people had with that game. But I mean, let's face it, the Wii U has the best Zelda games on it for me. But yeah, I love the Wii U. It's such a great console.
Yes,
Super
can't wait.
underrated.
Can't wait to be.
What?
Oh, just say I cannot wait to be playing it for Pod and Play.
I know. I'm so excited. But anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for this expansion pack. Remember, you can find expansion pack every Monday on youtube.com/NGRradio at noon. Ed and I will be doing Let's Pod and Play Season 2. By the time you see this, Tomb Raider episode will already be up, which is episode 1 of Season 2. Infamous Second Son will be the second episode, and I'm very proud of what we were doing. You know, I love that series, and I'm glad we're getting back to it.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Ed, when we end this episode, we need to talk about what we're doing tomorrow for recording that. But yeah, thanks for joining us for Expansion Pack. You can watch Ed's, or you can listen to Ed's podcast, Optional Opinion. You can check out a plethora of NGR Radio podcasts. Check them all out. Download the family of podcasts. Blah, 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 blah. Subscribe. All that stuff. Leave a comment. And until next time, we love you.
Bye, everybody.